Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you one form, two wreaths, three looks. And the first thing we're going to use is one of the heart-shaped wreath forms, but you really can do this technique with any wreath form that's wired. First, we're going to use the ribbon that we found in the baby section. They're going to use the polka dots and the plaid. We're also going to use this baby blanket, which is really funny because it's like all these baby stuff. We're also going to use this heart, but really any wood heart or any heart shape. You can even cut it out of foam board because we're going to cover it in some fabric. We're going to use this blanket as well, just a scrap of it so you don't have to worry about having a lot. And of course, glue gun, glue sticks, and a scissor. We're also going to need a wire cutter, and here's why. To make the two wreath forms into one wreath form into two, we're going to use our wire cutter, and we're going to just put it right to the outside of the middle wire on all of the uprights. And all I'm doing is pinching and then rocking it back and forth. A wire cutter usually has a part that's closest to the cutting surface. You get it closest to the material. You want that side closest to the material. You're going to do that for all of the 6 wires, and you're going to be left over with this smaller wreath form that is just 2 wires thick. You're actually going to turn it upside down because the original curvature of this wreath form from the middle down to the inside, we want to slope it the other way. So we're going to flip it over. We want it to make it look like the inside is still up higher. But that's a matter of personal preference. You could change it if you want to. And I'm not definitely showing the instructions here because we're just wrapping it in ribbon. How many times have we done that before? But if you're new and this is your first video, okay. We're going to start on the bottom peak. We're going to actually start with the ribbon going perpendicular to the point, and then we're just going to start wrapping it around. We're just going to overlap very slowly a little bit of the wire edge. This ribbon is not see-through like burlap is, so you don't have to worry about making it 2 layers thick. It comes in 9 feet, which is all you need. And then you're just going to continue all the way around. Because it's a pretty plaid, we don't have to do like we did before when we have the rolls go left and right, because it blends together the color-wise, okay? Once we have it all done, then we're going to do embellishments. You can do flowers like I'm doing. You can do wooden hearts. You can do heart stickers. You can do ribbon. You can do bows. Really, this part is entirely up to you. It's a matter of personal preference. But I'm just going to take some of this German status, it's called, and some of the heather. It's white heather, and then baby's breath, I think. No, it's white heather. And then we're going to do that to embellish it. But first I'm going to make a bow, and this bow is going to be the hanger. This is just a little piece of that ribbon with the polka dots left over. Both of these ribbons can be found in the baby section, and not the baby bottles where the baby shower stuff is. Okay? I made a bow with really long tails, and we're going to go over how to attach it in a few minutes. But first we're going to go ahead and add the embellishments. I took 2 of the long leaves off, and you saw I crisscrossed them. And then I just took all of the buds off of that German status to make like a little cluster. I love these flowers. They're just like the perfect size for this wreath. And then I took some of this heather, but I cut it down. Each one of those bunches of heather is sort of like really big. So I cut off like basically in sections and just to spread it out a little bit. So it didn't look like one big blossom. It looked like a bunch of little ones. Then I took the leaves. Now the German status has the thin leaves on the stems, but then underneath the flower is these little tiny leaves, and I use them to just stick in here and there and there and there. Now, because this bow is going to actually be used as the hanger, what I like to do for them is I like to glue them in place. So I glue the tails down to underneath the bow loops, and this way it doesn't come apart on you by the weight of the wreath. Then I line the bow up right over the center of the wreath, and I basically put both tails over each side. For this one, because I was like short on ribbon, I actually cut it, glued the ends, and then I continued the tails on the other side of the inside of the wreath, just separately so that they looked even, and that's it. It also helped that one tail was longer, so it made it even. And that's how that one looks. Now we're going to take the outside ring, and we're going to do the same thing by removing the wires that are upright. You will be left with a little nubbin, but I'm going to show you how to take care of that in a second. But basically, you're just going to do the same thing where we're going to hold the wire cutter really, really close to the wire that we're saving. We're going to rock it back and forth, and then we're going to take some and open up the wreath. Now I opened it up on one of the straight uprights right before the curve, and the reason I did that is because when we go to glue it closed, that'll be like the safest place where it won't come apart. If you cut at either point, the wreath might want to like open up on you more. When we cut it on the side, it just keeps the shape a little bit better, in my experience. Now what we're doing is we're going to take and cut down these little nubbins the best we can. We can sand them if you want to with like the serrated part of the wire cutters I did. And then we're just going to cover them with hot glue. We're going to make like sort of a bead bump of hot glue. And the reason we're doing this is because we're actually going to feed some of the material on to the wire. And we don't want it to get caught up. We also don't want to scratch yourself. So this also helps protect you from scratches. And you're going to do this for all 6. I actually only had 4 of them that were actually like little nubs. The other 2, one fell off first, and then one was really, really small, so I didn't even have to do that. Actually, you couldn't even feel it. Now we're going to paint it. Now I'm in the Midwest, and it's been freezing cold here. I highly recommend hitting this outside with some spray paint. But if you have weather like me, go ahead and paint it with chalk paint. It's been so cold that, you know, spray paint won't even come out of the can. I'm just saying. So then we're just going to set it off to dry. I did both sides and the inside because this is a reversible wreath. You want to make sure that you do both sides and the inside. Now we're going to take the baby blanket and we're going to cut strips of the heart out. I'm actually have it folded in half, and I'm cutting front and back strips at the same time. Then I'm going to take each strip, fold it in half, so almost like the heart is folded in half, and then cut a tiny notch between each heart. Okay, you got that? I'm also cutting the sewn edges off, but you really don't have to do that. Well, you kind of do, because you'll see some of them, but because it's reversible, I'm just cutting them off. All right? And now, between each heart is a little notch that we're going to weave in and out on this wreath. Now, you have to pay attention to where the hearts are going to land. So I actually, starting to do the opposite side of where it's cut, you're actually going to feed it on like from the bottom of the strip. This way, when you come around to the other side, the hearts are straight up and down. I ended up using a total of 6 strips, but I like that fullness. If you wanted more fullness, you can. If you wanted less fullness, you can. If you wanted to make it just like straight on, you can. That's totally up to you. But I just really, really love this like delicate pink hearts with a little gray punch every once in a while. It just really goes with my decor for Valentine's Day. I knew that when I bought this blanket back in the summer or October or whatever it was, that I was going to use this for this, and I wanted to use it for that, and that's why I kept it. Okay, so you're going to do this on both sides. Now, when it comes to the side that's cut, you want to do the bottom half first. Part of the cut is actually going to go between, like in the middle of a strip. So you want to push the weave down to the weave. You want to push the fabric down to the bottom. Then you want to put the other 2 up at the top. And then we're going to attach them. We're going to attach them with just a piece of Scotch tape. We're going to put the 2 pieces of wire together on top of the piece of Scotch tape, and then basically cover it with hot glue. And then we're going to use that just to hold it together while the glue dries and sets up. Okay? And then, let's see. We're going to glue it, and that's what I'm going to tell you, but we didn't get there yet. We're going to glue it in various parts along the way so that it doesn't sort of like just stay bunched down at the bottom. Like gravity doesn't take hold of it. So what I did was just about where each of the little, basically the bumps of glue that we made on the wire, is I just added a dot next to each like part of the section where it goes through the wire, and I just added dot of glue to each wire on both sides. I don't know what I'm saying, just to keep it from sliding on. That's all I'm saying. You just need a tiny bit of glue. You don't have to glue each bump. Just pick strategic areas to glue it down, and this way it'll just stay, but it'll still feel free and flowy. Now this will want to spin on there, so that's why we're gluing it, so it doesn't just keep spinning and moving around on you. You don't have to constantly zhuzh it. Do you know what I'm saying? So we're just trying to make it even. I'm counting the loops so that I can make sure that I have it even on left and right. I'm also going to glue it at the top peak. Again, so it doesn't slide over to one side or slide over to the other side. But But because we used an even number of strips, there'll be an even number of bumps. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Okay. So again, I just picked across ways to see where I wanted to glue down. All right. Now this is the wooden heart from the Dollar Tree. I used the back. The blanket with the hearts is a little bit see-through, so if you wanted to cover that with white paint, you could. But I just used spray adhesive real quick. I glued it down. I wanted to make sure one gray heart was right in the middle. And then I used hot glue to pull all the edges tight. Now this is sort of like got a scalloped edge, so when you pull it tight, you can still see the scalloped edge. Can you guys see that? And once the glue is cool, you want to cut off all the excess fabric. And then we're going to do is we're going to cover the back. The back we're going to cover is just straight on. We're not going to wrap it around. But before we do that, we actually have to put the hangers on because we're going to bury the strings inside between the two layers of fabric. So what I've done is I've cut 2 even strings and I basically placed them about where I want them to be and then glued them onto the wooden heart. Then I've taken and just added the glue on the bow of the ribbon of the heart and made sure that I pulled the strings back. I placed it. I'm kind of weird that I wanted like a gray stripe to go straight down the middle of this heart. So I placed it evenly on that blanket and then cut out really, really close to the edge so that you have a nice clean edge on your heart, but it's nice and even. Now, the one thing I didn't mention we needed, because this is also another one of those embellishments, is I put XOXO on the gray side because the heart was going to be on the pink side. So I just wanted to give it a little something, like a little punch. And now this is probably the most difficult part. I know there's a lot of talking and a lot of instructions, but really they're all easy so far. The most difficult part is just centering that heart in the space. So I tied it on. I picked 2 evenly spaced humps, and I tied it on both sides of the peak, basically. And now I'm going to create a hanger. And I wanted to show you guys how to self-turn a tube. So I just took a strip of the gray and white fabric and I glued a long string inside of it and then glued the tube closed. The problem was I didn't put enough glue at the end to hold the string. So when I went to turn it, the string actually pulled out. But normally this works. So what I ended up doing was, and I have a tube turning kit, just so you guys don't send me a tube turning kit. I actually have a professional, not professional, but like a real one. But I just wanted to show you there are other ways. I think the biggest trick when you're turning a tube of fabric is to start the tucking process first and make sure that the end is sealed, and then you can do really whatever. My dad made me that as a dowel with a little eye hook on the end that he opened up to look like a hook. Because when Lisa and I were making bags, we ended up turning lots of tubes. So finally, when you get the tube turned, we're going to use this as a hanger, and you don't have to use this as a hanger. You can do whatever you want for hanging. I just picked this to show you guys and to show you guys how to turn a tube, and then you could do it with hot glue. So what I'm doing is I'm scrunching the end up and I'm folding it over the wire and gluing it to itself and to the wire at the same time in 2 matching places. I didn't want to do it exactly where the string was hanging, but I think I ended up picking that spot anyway. Didn't I? I think I did. Or close to it. I might have done the one next to it, the hoop next to it. But just pick 2 even spaces on both sides of the heart to put your hanger, and then that's it. And then you hang it up. And this is how it looks on the one side, and that's why we painted the wire. So you can see the wire comes through every once in a while, and that's why we painted it white. And then all you have to do is flip it over, and you can see the other side, and I just think that it is absolutely adorable on both sides. I love the way that the 2 different patterns you get, like I said, 1 form, 2 wreaths, 3 looks, and there you have it. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. I'm sorry I did so much talking, but I like to talk. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family, anybody you know might be interested in learning how to make any of these or any of these techniques. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.